Welcome to the Social for Brokers podcast. So I'm going to start this episode with two words, and that's TikTok. So my guest today on TikTok has had over 262,000 likes. He's got 77,000 followers, and his biggest video has been watched by 2.6 million. Million. He's got 2.6 million views on this video. The most impressive thing is he uploaded his first video just over a year ago in April 2021. And alongside running this TikTok channel, he runs a mortgage broker team of 8 staff. So we're going to talk about social media, and we're going to talk about how he finds time to run the business as well. So if you don't know who I'm talking about, I am talking about Glen Russell, and his handle is Glen Russell Property. You'll search him on TikTok. You've probably already seen him on there, to be fair. We're going to talk about everything today of how he's grown his channel and how he runs the business at the same time. So Glen, thank you very much for coming on. Welcome.
Hi, Chris. Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
And you were saying this is your first podcast that you've made an appearance on?
It is indeed, yes. So apologies if I mess up in any way. I'm learning.
Not at all. I was going to say thank you. I feel honoured to have you as your first podcast. So it ends up just being a chat if you've ever listened to any episodes before. But sure. The beginning section, I would like to know a bit about kind of you, who you are, and how you've got into the financial services industry.
Yeah, sure. So obviously I'm Glen Russell. I recently turned 40 on the 6th of June. So I feel quite old, especially when you start talking about platforms like TikTok, but I'll cover that off later. So yeah, I mean, I've been in financial services for 20 years. Started working for Lloyds Bank in the evenings in the fraud department. And that was my first thing really for when I sort of like touched on the financial services. The reason for that is it was purely sort of luck, really. One of my close friends said, there's a job going at Lloyds Bank in the evenings. I'm going to do it. Do you fancy doing it? It's good money. So I was like, yeah, okay. Had no real major interest in finance to start with. Wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And yeah, so I'd done that for about a year and then stepped up to a full-time job. This was in addition when I was doing the evening work at Lloyds. I was studying as well, a university course, and but still wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. An opportunity came up for a building society that's no longer around, called Bristol and West, as a cashier position. That was full-time, so I went for that and built my way up really. I then within that building society become a savings and investments advisor, and really enjoyed that. And then there was an amalgamation of from Britannia Building Society and Co-op Bank through the years, where they merged, and there was positions come up for management, and that's when I went down the management role. So I was a bank manager for that period of time for 8 years. And moved from the Co-op Bank to Metro Bank, worked there for just under 2 years, and managed a team of in total of 35 staff, and and then took a huge career change, wanted a greater work-life balance. I'd never done a mortgage in my life. I'd managed people, spoke about savings and investments, but saw the opportunity to have a better work-life balance. And so I'd done my mortgage qualifications whilst I was still at the bank, but in the evening. So I used to do my full-time job, then go home in the evening and study, qualified. And it was a huge risk, because obviously I left a fairly well-paid, sturdy job in the bank to venture out to be a mortgage broker, with never doing a physical mortgage in my life, having a mortgage but not actually doing a mortgage for someone else, and didn't have any customers. So it was a huge jump. Yeah, it really was, and it's a story that I've told my team. They're probably bored of hearing it, but it literally was. My wife worked, and she shut the door when she went to work, and she went, good luck. And we had our little family desk, a family laptop, my mobile phone, and a makeshift business card that I hadn't really made a decision on the final print. And and that was it. So the next stage was to how I was going to find leads for my business.
And how many years ago did you make the leap to be a mortgage advisor?
January 2015
So a few years.
is when I started. So just over 7 years. And I mean, it was just one of them things where I knew what the end goal was. It was never ever going to be bigger than me. I especially didn't think it'd be a team of 8.
That was going to be my next question. Did you ever envisage sat in that, wherever your desk was, sat in there thinking, right, one day I'm going to have a large team of people?
Not at all, no. If I'm honest. It was purely to get a better work-life balance and to earn a decent amount of money to be able to contribute to our lifestyle, and to start a family and have flexibility. That was purely the goal. And even in the name of my business, Russell Financial Solutions. So obviously it's got my surname in the title, but it doesn't mention anything about mortgages. And the reason for that is because it was a name for the business, because it was just a name for the actual business at the time. It was never going to be bigger than me. So,
right,
in hindsight, I maybe would have called it something mortgages if it was going to be something that was going to be bigger than just me. But it felt that because it started well and the name seemed to catch, especially in the local area.
Did it?
I just stuck with it, and I'm pleased I did, really.
It's got your name on it, your name above the door, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, I'm sure we'll speak about it later, but it's so much more than that. The team are really like a family, and I think that's the key thing to how it's organically grown.
Before we started the podcast, we were having a little chat about your team and how busy you are at the moment, and it was great for you were talking about a couple of brokers that you have work for you, and you have conversations about how the business is going. You have conversations about how busy they are, what their workload is, and you can really tell that you're not just that those members of staff aren't just somebody on the payroll. They're somebody that you speak to on a daily basis, that you help, and it's nice to see that in a company, especially when you're from quite a corporate banking background.
Yeah. And, hopefully that's how they feel. And at the end of the day, it's people's lives. People have got mortgages, families. And I know at first hand, and probably because coming from the corporate, how restricted it can be. And how, you can have your hands tied in various ways, things that you can't do when that's the right thing to do, and a lot of red tape. And I'm sure a lot of people in many industries probably hear and feel that. And fortunate enough, being able to run the business, it allows me the flexibility to, if something's not working, to change it straight away. And if a staff member's not happy, why not? What can we do together to make them feel better? And sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. But it's being able to have that autonomy, basically, to make those decisions, which I think is really important.
And I know a lot of people that listening to this will be in a very similar position to you, either now or maybe the version of you 2 years ago, where you decided to step away from giving mortgage advice, didn't you? Because you felt the business was at a size where you had all these plates you had to spin alongside giving mortgage advice. The first question is, what made you step back from being a mortgage advisor? And then 2, what does your day-to-day look like at the minute managing the business rather than giving mortgage advice?
Well, on that note, no, I still actually do the job.
Oh, you still do it, right?
Yeah, I do it at the moment. But what I'm looking to do is to step back. So this is the key thing for me, is to now put the next steps in place, which we have at the moment, for me to be able to have really be able to chunk my time better. Because the key thing for me, and all the way through the team, is very much the customer service.
Mhm.
And I know we hear that a lot, but it really is, because I know how hard it was for me to get my first customer from nothing. And that's one thing that I really, really wanted to make sure that from this point onwards, I didn't want to lose sight of that and take them for granted. Now, with that side of it, obviously, as the business organically grows, the team's grown, which has allowed us to keep up that service level. But like I mentioned to yourself, I've previously, I've not taken any new clients.
Sorry, that's what you'd said. Yeah, opposed to stepping back, you haven't taken, but you'll look after kind of remos and regulars that you'd looked after.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got my own client portfolio, which I look after, remortgages, and, if they move house and things like that, I'll still do that for them. And also it's important for me to keep my hand in, because we're FCA regulated. So I need to make sure that, I do so many cases every year. But it's now getting to the point where I want to be able to step back from doing the day-to-day, still look after some of my clients, and then share that out with the team and grow the business further.
And how hard is it to give up the reins?
Very, because I know how it's, how hard it is to grow the business.
Mm-hmm.
So to build those relationships, and then pass them over. But in a way, that they wouldn't be passed over to just anybody.
Yeah.
They're passed over to someone in my team who, are good. It's not like I'm disappearing. The clients can still pick up the phone to me, speak to me, WhatsApp me, anytime. And I think that's one of the key things, is that, I get messages on a Sunday evening from questions from clients, and I've got no problem with answering it if I can, because at the end of the day, if I can do it, why wouldn't I?
Exactly.
And so even though the fundamental side of processing the mortgage and stuff like that is going to change, I'm still very much a big part of the business.
And this is the next section that we're going to get onto, talking about TikTok. Your face is still very much the business on TikTok. So like you say, it's very hard for you to step away, but you're using your face to push the business, aren't you? Before we get onto the TikTok, because that's the main thing that I know everybody's going to be chomping at the bit to listen to.
Yeah.
Did you try any other platforms and social media before you went to TikTok, and how successful were they?
Yes, I did. Yeah. So in 2020, obviously the height of the pandemic, I wanted to reach out to an audience where we obviously weren't being able to do a lot of face-to-face. It was quite hard. I wasn't doing a lot on social media. I never really had, apart from my own personal stuff. Okay. So I tried YouTube, and I'm not the most techie person. It was a real learning curve for me, and I tried YouTube, which we had a small amount of success, but it would take a long time to edit videos, sometimes 2-3 hours. I had to learn how to do it, the software to do it, the equipment, and then you would post it, and you may get 4 views, and it was soul destroying for me.
You spent so long on it.
Yeah, and also it was time away from my family, time away from doing things that I wanted to do, and I enjoyed learning it, but I was documenting my property investment journey, also the business hints and tips with mortgages. But the difference is the algorithm is totally different with YouTube to TikTok. It's a lot harder. A lot of it's based around subscribers, but people need to physically search for it. And the mortgage and property industry is very, very swamped on YouTube. I found anyway. There's some people that have had some great success from it, which is good. But it just wasn't for me, which gave me a doubt that it may be my content. But then TikTok changed that, because it was the same sort of content, but just in more short form.
Just more raw, I find it. What made you, so you had to go at YouTube, and I completely agree with you. I think there's a place for long form polished content on YouTube, yes. But I think I personally like the raw videos, the short, sharp, punchy ones.
Yeah.
That's why I don't use YouTube so much. But what made you go to TikTok? What made you do that first video?
It was just from people that I'd spoken to, and they said, oh, they're on TikTok, and even some of my team were on TikTok. and they don't actually do any content, but they use, they watch the platform. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to go on it and just have a look and see what it's about. And there was a lot of real factual stuff on there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's obviously a lot of the, like everyone says, there's a lot of the dancing and the silly videos and stuff, which is great and very light-hearted. But there is also some really good little nuggets of information in all different industries.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, if I can tap into that and try and make it a little bit of fun. And the problem is, as everyone's probably aware, there is sometimes the real negative side of the social media. If you put your face out there, you're going to get people that are going to take a shot sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, if I try and dilute that as much as I can and sort of take the mickey out of myself and don't take myself too seriously, then that hopefully will alleviate anyone going down that route. And you still get it. You still get the comments and bits and pieces. Yeah. And, as they call them, the trolls and stuff. But I think it's just part and parcel of it now, to be honest. And the way I look at it is that, well, it's actually triggered them to engage on the video. So I must have done something right.
So how do you, because we were talking about this before the podcast, that any comment negative, not for negative comments, but it counts as an engagement. It's as simple as that, doesn't it? So it does help your algorithms. Can you talk us through? Because I know everybody will want to know here. You've got a video that's had 2.6 million views.
Yeah.
That's an idea that's come from somewhere. So where do you get your ideas for TikTok videos? Because that's what mortgage brokers are crying out for.
Everyday life, conversations that I have with family, conversations that I have with next door neighbours, anywhere, videos and little nuggets of information I might see on another video, which I think actually I could probably use that sound and I could tailor it into my industry. So it might be something which is totally irrelevant to my content, but I'll see it on TikTok and think, well, actually, like one of my characters has got the aviator Ray-Ban shades on.
So talk to us, about characters. Who are your characters and what are they on TikTok?
So in general, anything to do with mortgages, you find that, you're going to be speaking to a mortgage broker, and it can, unfortunately, be a little bit of a dry subject.
Mm-hmm.
So it was trying to engage that. And one of my biggest content ideas is the customer. Mm-hmm. So it's questions I get from my customers and new customers and emails and inquiries. And, as great as they are or ludicrous the questions are, I try and then flip them into doing it in two ways. So I'm the mortgage broker as me, and then it's myself again, but just with a pair of shades on or a scarf or a jacket, and that is the client. So the client will be asking the question or trying to do something to get a mortgage or asking, a certain scenario. And then I will be the mortgage broker that's actually going to try and educate them in the right way of doing it. And by doing it that way, there's two people in the conversation, even though it is me. And it takes a lot of time getting changed and putting a scarf around my neck and all the editing. But it's less of a boring video than me just looking at a screen and telling someone information.
What information is, because that's what they say on TikTok. You want short, sharp bursts of video, so it keeps you entertained, doesn't it? It makes you want to watch on. When you're creating a video, you touched on it then about how long it takes, but if you were to make a 60-second TikTok, what is the step-by-step process that you do from planning the idea all the way through to when that video goes live?
Well, I try and do 15-second clip.
Okay.
Because I think the average, and you probably know this better than me, but I think the average engagement of someone is about 4 seconds for when they look at a video. And if they're not engaged within that first 4 to 8 seconds, I think it might be they'll swipe. And TikTok is very swipeable. So you need to really grab them straight away. So I try and keep it to 15 seconds. And the way the TikTok algorithm works, from my understanding, is the shorter video has to be watched 100%. And if that video is watched then they push the video out to say 100 people in the first hour, and if all of them people watch that whole video within that hour, then TikTok see it as, okay, well, that's obviously quite good content. So then they put it out to 1,000 people, and then if say 90%, these figures may not be accurate, but to give you an idea, say 90% of them 1,000 people watch that video, 100% of it, then they go, okay, yeah, still getting interest. So they put it out to 10,000 people, and then to 50, and then to 100. And if it's still being watched for all the way through, then they can see that and then that's when they really push the algorithm. Mm-hmm. I could have 2 followers and have 1 million views on one video.
That's the joy of TikTok, isn't it? That you don't have to have an audience for people to see your content. And this is exactly what's happened on the 2.6 million one, isn't it? Because you've got 77,000 followers at the moment as we speak in June. Excuse me. But that video has been viewed 2.5 million times. What is the topic of that video?
How to use the bank's cash basically to buy multiple properties. Mm-hmm. And all that is the key thing that I've done there is to use a hook in the title for people to stop and go, oh, what does that do? And it's basically how to refinance a buy-to-let property that you've purchased, get the same money out of that you've originally invested, and then keep that property, but then buy another property. And what I done is I actually broke it down on a pad. And I come up with the idea. I was actually sitting on hold on the other phone to a mortgage lender at the time. And I thought, right, well, how can I utilize my time rather than sitting here? So I wrote down a scenario on the pad. And then after I got off the call, I had content sitting in front of me. So then
So that TikTok was created whilst you were on, the content of the TikTok was created whilst you're on hold to a lender. And I think every mortgage broker out there at the minute has been onto a lender for at least half an hour today.
Yeah.
You know, that's crazy that your most viral video is one that you just doodled whilst you're on hold someone. That's the joy of TikTok. And you talking about people watching 100% of the video. The reason I wanted you to tell what that content was about was because you have to watch it to the end to see how the whole thing works. You can't take all the information in the first 5 seconds. You have to watch the whole video, and that's why it got. And it's a hook, isn't it? It's mundane to you, that is, because you've done that a few times. You've seen people do that a few times, but to Joe Public, it's very interesting.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I think feedback, ironically, I even got stopped in my local town the other day by someone because they said, oh, I saw your video. And they were questioning me about buy-to-lets and areas to invest into. And I said, oh, no, thanks very much. I really, really appreciate you stopping and saying you enjoy the content. And they said, I really like how you break it right down to make it understandable on your notepads. So that's obviously one that they'd picked up. And to be honest, I'm very much like that as well. You know, I like things to be broken down really simple, and to be made so they can be understood by everyone.
So make it as simple as possible. I talk about on this podcast, I talk a lot about how what you as mortgage brokers find mundane, Joe Public will find very interesting, like that refurbished scheme. Or there might be like you did a video with a well-known property investor, and you just it's called a duet on TikTok, and it was just your face, wasn't it? You didn't really say much, but you almost used a facial expression. What I'm trying to get across here is TikTok is not just a platform for you to do silly dances on.
That's right, absolutely. And if anyone says that to you, then just ignore them, because the key thing is, a lot of people said to me, TikTok, isn't that just dancing and teenagers? And that was my first impression. I wish I hadn't have listened to people at the start, because when you actually go on there and you start looking at all the content that people put on there and the helpful hints and tips in loads of different categories, just ignore, look at it yourself basically and see how you Yeah, definitely. And don't listen to, I mean, my advice would be you're going to get a lot of people that say it's not going to work, or why do you do that? Or, oh, aren't you embarrassed having your face out and, and everyone knowing what you're doing, yada, yada, yada. And I just think, well, actually, it's no worse than you sitting there having a quiet diary, hoping that someone's going to ring your phone when there's hundreds of other mortgage brokers out there. And if you can put your face out there, and and you're getting publicity and it's promoting your brand, and if you're doing a good job anyway, it's just going to tell more people how good you're doing that job.
Mhm.
And I think that there's no real negative to that.
So it's all about getting your face out there. It's all about going out consistently. How often do you post?
I would say I would like to definitely do it more, hence me restructuring how my day-to-day is going to be running. Again, I've only been doing this for just over a year on TikTok, so I'm still very much in the learning curve as well. But I post around, normally Tuesdays is my main day. That's my allocated sort of social media day.
Okay.
And what I try and do as well is record a lot and put it in the draft section on TikTok. So you can record stuff, but then just not post it all at the same time. You can post it alternate days. And you can save it on the platform, which is really helpful.
I found that really useful to be able to create them and save them, because the problem I find with posting, I schedule a lot of my stuff, is having the time to do it. So if you can sit there on a Tuesday and create your week's worth of content, but save it in drafts, you're onto a winner, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What do you use to record the videos? How do you create them?
It's just my phone. So it was my phone and my AirPods, because when I started out, I thought, well, I'm just going to give it a go as it is. Like, the AirPods have got good sound as well. But then I found where the algorithm with TikTok as well prefers you to have good sound, good visual, graphics. So that all helps. And this is all research that I've done myself. Just looking into how can you pick up on the algorithm, what do people engage with. A lot of people engage with good sound, different graphics to use. Don't just sit in one spot, and but also have consistency of a color theme. So for instance, you may see my background here. People were watching on the video, the blue background in my office. This is my home office. I'm not in my work office today. This is where I do my recording. And I generally try and wear sort of white, blue, or black, because that is the branding of my company. Mm-hmm. But I don't mention my company really in any of my videos. So I try and link it all in so people can visually sort of relate to those color schemes, but I don't actually tell them why. So it's just they make it out themselves.
Very clever, because that's a big thing that we talk to people about. And you'll get this straight away. If you see somebody walking down the street with an orange carrier bag, you'll know it's Sainsbury's. You don't even have to look at the logo. That's what we talk to with people with their static visual posts that use the same colors, use the same fonts, use the same message. You're just very cleverly doing that in video format. You're just changing your clothes to fit your brand.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's little things as well, points of interest. So for instance, again, in this video, I've got a plant behind me. Mm-hmm. So that breaks up the video slightly.
That drew my eye straight away. As soon as you turned that camera on earlier, the eye went straight to the green plant.
Yeah, exactly. And, like the printer next to me as well, it shows it's sort of in an environment where it's an office-based environment, which again builds trust for someone that, I'm not just sitting on maybe my sofa giving them financial advice.
I thought of that.
Yeah.
You saying that printer now, I'm looking at that, knowing that you're in the office. If that wasn't there, I'd be thinking, well, where is he?
Exactly. And again, I think all these little things are just from doing my own research, from other videos, from other successful people. But this isn't just TikTok. This is hints and tips from YouTube when I was doing YouTube. And I've sort of integrated these things into TikTok. And you can look on my wall on my TikTok channel, and you can see that there is a consistent theme. But also going back to the chunking time of how many times I post on a Tuesday, sometimes I'll post 5 times in that day, but then I might not post for another 2 or 3 days. Whereas ideally, I'd like to be posting 2 or 3 every single day for consistency. But one of the things I found being very busy with my day-to-day, with my clients, and obviously being a family man as well, and running a team, and you have to get them little pockets of time, and you have to utilize them, and that's what I found. So being on hold, walking the dog, you can see some of my videos where I'm literally walking the dog in the morning. I thought of an idea, put my earpods in, held my phone up. I've got some funny looks from people sitting in traffic when I'm walking along talking to my phone at a weird angle. But yeah, it gave me a 15-second video. I edited it while I walking the dog, and posted it before I got home, and that was my pocket.
What would you say to people that say they haven't got time to record? Because you've just given 3 instances there where you can do. Is it a confidence issue, or do you think as humans we look for excuses as not to do something that we're not comfortable doing?
Yeah, I think definitely it's a confidence thing. I wasn't confident, and I still, even when I'm walking around doing these videos, I'm walking up and down my garden. I think if my neighbours could look out the window and see what I'm doing, they must think I've lost it.
You've lost it, yeah.
Yeah, but I think you just got to look past that and look at the reason why you're doing it. And
it's for your business, isn't it?
Yeah, and just do it and try it, and be consistent. Don't put 5 videos out there, and if you don't get many views, give up. That's not the key. I mean, you look at some of my earlier videos, I probably got maybe 50 to 100 views, and
you kept going.
Yeah, I just kept going, and then one of them got 10,000 views, and it wasn't anything really different to the others, but it just picked up for whatever reason.
Sorry to interrupt. What I was going to say is, when you say on a Tuesday you'll post 5 videos, but then might not post anything then till the following Tuesday, do you find that harms your reach? Or is it, look, I've just got a Tuesday to do it, so I might as well do 5 and nothing than 1 and nothing?
Yeah, I definitely think I can improve my method, because I think, again, I try and draft some stuff as well, because I don't want to bombard it on a Tuesday and, like you say, and then leave it a week. That's why I try and during them days in the middle to try and do short bursts of videos for 15 seconds while I'm maybe walking into the office, walking the dog, any sort of opportunity, I'll try and do it. Sometimes TikTok lives, I've done about 5 of them. So,
okay. And what topics do you discuss on there, Glenn?
I literally just put on there, because you have a title and you can just put mortgage Q&A for 1 hour, and that's what I do. And then I just put my live on, and sometimes I'm sitting here, obviously they can't see the screen or anything, but it's just a camera on me. I might be doing someone's mortgage application, but they're just looking at my face, or and then suddenly someone will go hi, and then I'll look, and then I'll reply to the questions, and before you know it, you can have 200 people in your room all talking to each other and asking you questions, and I'm just getting on with my evening in the office, catching up from, and then they're asking me questions, and that builds the following. People share the live.
Is it that you can only do that after 10,000 followers though?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the exact numbers. I think it may be 10,000. But yeah, I mean, if you can get to that point, then yeah, absolutely do it. But I should be doing it more. But again, it's just factoring it into your life. I've got 2 young children, so my evenings are quite precious for me. So my hours during it, like a lot of people, your evenings for whatever you're doing, your hobbies, etc. It's about chunking time and making sure that you don't, like you said earlier, sort of find excuses not to do it, because every time you don't do it pushes you further and further back.
And you always find that time to do it, but you've had to also find time, as well as creating the video, to then engage with people. Because a lot of people think, and I've heard people talk, thinking TikTok's the answer. If I can upload decent videos to TikTok, I'll go viral and I'll have a great business. But it's not just that, is it? It's sitting there and replying to people and engaging, isn't it?
Yeah, and absolutely. It's so different as well, because, I mean, my Instagram off the back of TikTok has increased. But it's strange, my Instagram is probably just under 1,300 followers, but my TikTok is 77,000. which doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But people ask me questions through TikTok and Instagram, so they won't follow my Instagram, but they will ask me a question through it. So it sort of filters through to all different platforms. But again, I just make sure I reply. So it might well be that, 15 minutes before I go to bed, I'll just look at all of the ones that I've had through for that day, and I'll reply at least one response. And then just do that again, chunking the time. Maybe if I'm sitting having a bite to eat the following day, well, I can look at my questions that I've had. There's Linktree where we can, they can come straight through and ask a question to see my website. They can email me, which I then filter the leads to the team so they can manage it. And again, it's a learning curve for me still, like I mentioned, but I think if you get the right level and the right flow of leads and inquiries and the videos, like the content that you're putting out there, I think you can quickly get a grasp of what's working and what's not working.
And how, in terms of a percentage, or how many leads do you get through TikTok?
It depends again on the back of a video. So I could put 3 videos out there and maybe get 1 or 2 leads a day. The video I put out, which has got 2.6 million views, I mean, I was getting 10 to 15 inquiries a day. Now, obviously, like anything, you're going to get high percentages of them which are just inquiries that may not be ready, or just asking a general question. But I've passed many leads that I've got from TikTok over to my other brokers within the team, and that's been converted into business, which has helped the client earn us as a business money and filled the diary for my team. And that has all come back from, and now that's an existing client as well. So that's built that into our portfolio, who will tell other people, word of mouth. So it doesn't stop. And that's all off the back of a video.
Somebody might be, like you said, off the back of that video, it's your face. Somebody might be hesitant and say, yeah, but I don't actually give mortgage advice. I have a few brokers that I pass them on to. It works for you. Do you know what I mean? You're not doing the video and then saying, I will definitely look after your mortgage. You're giving them the information. Then they get in touch with it and you pass them on to one of your trusted team members. Again, absolutely. I think that might be a bit of an excuse to say, I don't want to go on video because it's not going to be me looking after them. Well, no, actually, it's you providing the value to start with.
Do you know what? I've had more people that have phoned up, gone through the website, and then the calls diverted through to my mobile, for instance, if the team are too busy. And I've answered the phone and they've said, oh, are you the guy on the video? I was like, yeah. And they were like, oh, right, okay. And they were a bit sort of taken back because I don't think that they thought anyway that they would be speaking to me. Even though I am a mortgage broker, I still do the day-to-day job. I'm exactly like them.
Yeah. I think you're like almost a celebrity and think, oh, he's going to be too big to answer the phone to me. Well, no, I'm actually involved within the business.
Absolutely. And I do exactly the same job as my team, and it's one of them things that I think that mindset, going back to what you said, that, oh, well, I don't do the advising. So, they may not be interested in speaking to me. Well, actually, most of the people that I've spoken to don't expect to speak to me anyway.
Good point.
They're more engaged in what we can offer them as a business rather than me actually physically doing it for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've not actually had that really come up as an issue. If anyone is worried about that, who's listening, that's not been an issue for us.
Awesome. I could go on about this for ages, but I'm just very wary that we've had half an hour chat about TikTok. So
that's right.
I hope there's lots of stuff in there that people have taken. It's not having the fear, just go and do it. You've got a camera on your phone, go and do it. You're walking in the park, you're walking in the back garden. Just to summarize, get your ideas from family, from friends, from people asking questions on social media. Talk about the mundane. Might be mundane to you, but it'd be really interesting to somebody else. That's a big thing for me. But I'm sure there's loads of people that are going to rewind this and go, right, I'm going to write everything down that Glen said about TikTok. And I'm not putting down what Glen's done on TikTok, but all Glen did last year was upload a video. The difference is he saw it through for 507 videos, I think you've done now.
Yeah.
You've seen it through to 507. Now you've seen the rewards of it, aren't you? A year later, 500 videos. It's quick. TikTok's fantastic, but it's not a quick fix, is it? I think you'll agree with that, Glenn.
Yeah, you just got to be consistent. And keep trying different things, different content, and also try and have fun with it. I actually enjoy doing the videos because some of them I even chuckle. I'm sitting in the office on my own recording it, and I'm sitting there laughing, and I just think, oh, what is going on? But
and how many stupid dances have you done out of all of them?
Oh, plenty. Yeah.
Just get involved. Yeah. Right. So we're going to move on to the strategy question of the podcast. So we're going to pretend that you've moved to the north of Scotland. You've got a laptop, a mobile phone, and an internet connection. What would you do to start generating mortgage business?
It's a boring answer, but I would do exactly what I did in 2015 because that's all I had.
And what were the steps you exactly did in 2015 from that table?
I looked at the people in my local area that was doing the job that I wanted to do. As in a mortgage broker, I was looking at the things that they were offering and what they weren't offering and what I could improve on and what I couldn't improve on. So my strengths and weaknesses. And then obviously I wouldn't be able to do that, but I walked up and down the high street. I was suited and booted, went into accountants, went into estate agents, went into solicitors, and I just grafted to really try and put my name out there. Got a lot of no's, a lot of closed doors, but there was a couple that did open the door and said, okay, we'll give you a go. But that was after many weeks of me ringing even the same companies, sometimes becoming a bit of a nuisance. And it's just persistence. The one thing I would say is just be really persistent with what you're trying to achieve and don't give up. Because, I really did just start with a phone, a laptop and Wi-Fi. And I searched on Google. Yeah. And that's exactly what I did. And I searched on Google, the estate agents, et cetera. And but the big thing is now from 2015 to today, social media is such a massive thing. And, I would say probably apart from word of mouth, which is a huge thing for us, I would say between 60 to 75% of our business leads now are through social media.
And I was talking about to Hannah, who's on the podcast episode before this one, even the 25% of word of mouth there have probably come across you. There's a good chance half of them have come across your social media channel. So even though 25% have become word of mouth, half of them have actually come through social media just in a roundabout way.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the big things I would say to people listening, if they're thinking of trying this route, is don't be disheartened if you put a video on any platform and there's not many likes and not much engagement, because so many people that will message you privately won't like your videos, won't share your videos, and won't interact with your videos, but they'll probably end up as a client. And I've had that firsthand. I've had people phone me, message me, email me, say, oh, I love all your content. I love the stuff that you put on there. And I feel that I want to go, well, why don't you like it then?
Because sometimes they don't want to show that they're getting a mortgage, do they? Or drop a comment. They might be going through a divorce or they're looking at buying somewhere and their parents don't approve. Do you know what I mean? It's that type of stuff that isn't
absolutely. Yeah. And I think that you hit the nail on the head, really. That is, you just don't know people's circumstances. They may want to engage in it, but they can't. But that's not to say that people aren't watching everything that you're putting on and that they're not enjoying what you're putting on as well. So just keep doing it. You'll be surprised how many people love your content
but don't actually love it on social media. It's like a flip reverse, isn't it? They love it in real life, but not on social, which is a nice way to be. Glenn, thank you so much for coming on. Guys, go and rewind this podcast. Go and listen to the last 43 minutes. It's so valuable. I'm looking at your office now going, I'm going to get myself a plant, I'm going to get myself a printer. But that's like you'll see on mine. If you're listening to this, you won't see it, but it's a blue wall with a social broker sign. I've
Yeah.
got the branding, but there's nothing else really to draw my eye. There's nothing to keep me entertained, because when I'm not looking at you, Glenn, I'm looking at the plant. Do you know what I mean? And it gives you that different depth, and it's something so simple, yet it's the first thing I picked out when you turned on the camera.
Yeah, it's the small things that really do make a big difference. So.
Huge. Right. And as a thank you, I'd like to donate £10 to a charity of your choice. Which charity would you like me to make it to?
The Cancer Research UK, if possible, that'd be great. Thank you.
Perfect. Glenn, thank you so much for coming on. Guys, go and follow him. What's your handle on TikTok?
Glen Russell Property. So it's Glen with one N, Russell Property. I hope you enjoy it.
Fantastic. I'm sure your inbox is open on Instagram as well. I'm sure you can connect with him on there and have a chat. And LinkedIn you're on as well, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
Great. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for your time.
Cheers.